And we are live. Welcome to another stream. This
Bonjour,
time,
bonjour.
incorporating our good friend and colleague, Mr. Bonaparte. Good to see
Bonjour,
you, man.
welcome. Good to see you.
Très bien. Très bien. So usually at this time of the stream, because the millions are still slowly filing in, we normally kick off talking about food of some kind, don't we? And it's been quite Anglo-based, but we've got a genuine Frenchman in the house today, the finest cuisine in the world.
Finally.
So tell us how it's done. What's your normal breakfast routine? What's your normal breakfast menu like?
So me personally, actually, I do intermittent fasting, but when we breakfast in France, it's stag in white sauce and cheese boards, of course.
The French, the chef's kiss.
We wake up every morning to go and hunt, so that's what every Frenchman do that, of course.
Yeah, I'm very jealous because you're always sending us photos of your dinner, and it's just like pieces of animal laid out, but not in a bad way, looking very tasty, like literally a wild boar, stuff like that. It's phenomenal. What's the kind of weirdest thing you've eaten in recent months? Have you like any weird birds, or is it quite
pigeon? So my neighbor calls me like at 10 p.m. and said, I have 10 pigeon for you tonight to take the feathers out, or he will come with half a wild boar and at 11 p.m. completely drunk, and I'll be like, okay, cool, let me get it.
That's amazing. So he just catches random things and just presents them to you.
And at 11 p.m. Yeah, and I have 3 cats, so
that's amazing. Awesome stuff.
Fantastic.
So for guys who don't know who you are, obviously me and Troy know who you are very well because we've spent a lot of time with you in Colombia in intimate settings. But yeah, what are you? What do you do for men? How do you help guys?
So Bonaparte is my nickname. My name is Thibaut, or T. I'm a sex coach for men, and I help men to have an amazing sex life. First of all, to get rid of sexual blocks, sexual shame, performance anxiety, men who are not masculine as well in the bedroom. And I help them to have the best sex of their life, to fix any sex blocks they have, usually premature ejaculation, erectile dysfunction, and how to become dominant and masculine in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And I guess we've got some, as usual, key points to go into. The title of the stream today is how performance anxiety is killing your dating life, killing your dating life in the bedroom. But what are some common things if you had a gun to your head and they were like, right, we're going to kill you in 10 seconds unless you tell us the top 3 most common things from all the clients you've worked with? Obviously,
what unusual hostage situation that was.
That's not threatening at all. I love that.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. Tell us immediately. I don't have sexual problems in bed. I don't, but tell me anyway. I must know the 3 top.
It's for a friend.
Yeah. What's that Viagra in your pocket? Tell us the 3 to 5 most common ones you see. So there's probably ones that guys want to believe are the issues, like, oh no, I'm really good in bed, but I just have trauma, like just with that final double choke on the threesome. It's just ego, right? What are the actual 3 to 5 top things behind closed doors when guys are being vulnerable with you that you see?
So behind closed doors, it's premature ejaculation and erectile dysfunction that really it's the core of their virility. They can't get hard, or they can't control themselves, and usually that's the most shameful that they feel.
How common do you think this is with men? Like, I know we're surveying, we're asking you for random numbers now. You don't have stats, but do you think it's more common than guys admit?
So yeah, it's definitely more common because when they talk to me, they would never admit it to a friend or family member, even difficult to talk to a doctor. But when they trust a sex coach, obviously we're here to help them. It's very, very common. I would say probably, there's some stats like 30% of men suffer from premature ejaculation, but with sexual stats, you can always ramp up the numbers because obviously a lot of men are not saying the truth. So between erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation, I would say like 50 to 60% of men are suffering at one point in their life of sexual blocks. And the problem with that is that it's become recurrent. It's not just one time. It becomes a bad habit that they develop and they can't get rid of.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
And do they kind of do they often present together? Do guys unfortunately have both, or is it more one or the other?
No, it's more one of the other. Sometimes it happens, but usually what happens is that a lot of young men with erectile dysfunction will work on themselves and they will get hard. But when they get hard, they have premature ejaculation and they're like, fuck, like, when am I finally going to be good? So you were talking about the 3 to 5 stuff. So usually that's the physical blocks. But obviously the mental ones, the emotional ones are performance anxiety. I'm scared of not being a good lover. I'm scared of not satisfying the woman in the bedroom, not knowing what to do. That's a massive one. No sex ed whatsoever. They don't know how to satisfy women. And also porn. Porn is a big one. There's this big phenomenon of porn-induced erectile dysfunction, porn-induced premature ejaculation, but also that they compare themselves to porn actors or like a good friend. Usually they would have a good friend who is always bragging about all the crazy stuff he does in the bedroom, and they would be like, fuck, like I'm nothing like that.
Right. Yeah, for sure. You know, you can get both of them together, which a friend of mine experienced when he was doing some illicit substances in Colombia. And this friend of mine, the way he described it was he was with this girl and he'd been doing all these substances, and he both couldn't really get a proper erection, and then it took him hours to come as well, or he wasn't really able to ejaculate as well. So, but that's obviously a very specific situation, isn't it? The sort of drug induced as opposed to in the normal run of things.
So drug induced, yes, it's not that common, but it happens more and more. But porn induced is a very it's a massive phenomenon, and it's exactly
he was smashing the porn as well.
The same results, you know.
Yeah. No, porn's an interesting one because I was always fairly I thought that all the talk about porn was hyped up, you know, and I was always fairly libertarian about it. I was like, well, you know, come see, come say, you know, just let them, you know, just do what you want to do, man. We're all going to die soon, so why not? But I have to say, I mean, and I was never a big porn user anyway. I would watch like a little bit here and there, but nothing crazy or anything. But I have actually completely stopped, largely actually since they put in the age thing in the UK, not because it's not, you can't get around it, but because it's just, I just thought I don't want to do this stuff anyway, and it's another thing. And I have found it's actually been massively beneficial in a number of ways, and that was from somebody who was a fairly low user, really. So if you're using it a lot, which I've met guys who do, that must be a big problem.
Yeah, it's a massive one. Me, I was on the other side. I was a massive user when I was young, and I've always been open about that. Like my premature ejaculation used to suffer for 10 years of premature ejaculation. That a big part due to porn. When I stopped to watch porn, I started to reconnect with my own physical pleasure, and that's where I was able to control myself. But porn is a big one, especially nowadays. Like especially soft porn, man. You don't know how many men nowadays they say, "Oh, I don't watch porn," but they would watch they would be 3 hours on Instagram, either watching or wanking over girls in bikinis.
Well, that's a good point, because there is this sort of you're not watching hardcore porn, you're not even necessarily watching sex, but there's a lot of sexual images that get, you know, you see on your feed and everything. I think the key thing really is to unfollow. If you're following e-girls or you're following Instagram models and things, just to unfollow them all and just to not look at that content so it doesn't come into your feed as much, I think.
That's a good technique, actually. That's usually what I do with clients who are addicted to porn or soft porn Instagram. It's stop following these models, and you can change the algorithm. Like spend 2 hours watching cars or motivational videos, and you won't have this. Well, I prefer
Rich Cooper's, you know, spinning in his chair with happiness right now.
I shouldn't talk about my kinks during this time. We keep it like PG-13, right? But yeah, like you can change the algorithm, and that will make a massive difference.
Do you find? I think porn I spent a bit of time recently traveling with Eddie, who does the habits for guys. So he sees inside their lives, and they're quite vulnerable. And a huge amount of these dudes who are kind of current or former clients of ours that I didn't, think they would do, are watching porn every day. Apart from obviously the sexually induced problems you see, do you think there's other bad consequence of just constant porn use away from, just direct physical performance in the bedroom?
I could just right there. My internet just shut down. Can you repeat the question?
Yes. So a number of these clients of ours kind of seem to have secret porn habits, like we're talking daily use.
Yeah.
Apart from obviously affecting guys in the bedroom, do you think it has other bad knock-on effects, or is it mainly just to do with sexual performance?
No, like also the subject that we're talking about is how all these sexual blocks are killing your dating life. It literally stops you to go out and meet women and seek women because it's sedation. You're watching porn and it's a proxy for real sex and connection. And the problem is that your body doesn't make the difference. Your body sees a naked woman on a screen and he's like, oh, cool, we're gonna reproduce today. We are seeing women, but it's fake. And so a lot of men would actually stop themselves and watch porn because they are like, it's so much easier to watch porn and to rub one out and to ejaculate and then to go to sleep rather than actually facing the risk of approaching women and having real connections.
Yes, completely agree. And from my own experience, I just remember old Wes Watson. I know he's now a bit of an internet meme, but old Wes Watson had this great phrase he stole from, a lot of it's just engineered from Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics, but he said, use regret as your guideline. And I remember whenever it was 10 a.m. on a Monday, I'd shut the curtains, hammer one out, porn on the laptop, dark screen, someone knocking on the door. No, mum, don't come in. James, why are you still here? You're 38. Didn't you move out 10 years ago? I mean, it doesn't matter, but there's a lot of shame there. I'd shut the laptop and I just feel fucking shameful. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm masquerading as this alpha guy and I'm just fucking secretly in my room, like hammering one out to pixels on a screen of another dude fucking a girl. Like, what am I fucking doing? And for me, I just kind of had this realize.
I like the phrase hammering one out.
Hammering one out. I'm very aggressive.
Really viscerally
saying a little bit.
They call it vinegar strokes as the slow. I'm like, oi, lots of.
Or gooning is actually when you purposely don't ejaculate, but you watch it for hours.
I mean, talk about fucking up your brain, the dopamine loops. But yeah, I just found it for me, and I think a number of these dudes who are on this journey of self-betterment, you reach a point where you're just like, fuck, this is quite shameful. I can't really look at myself in the mirror and be like, you're an alpha guy and you're rubbing one out, 5 days a week to pixels, not even real life, right?
Yeah.
It's pixels on a screen. It's just a bit.
And what's worse, increasingly, some of these models are going to start to be AI as well. So you're not you're not even hammering one out to a real person, which is bad in itself, but it could just be a complete fabrication.
And even worse is that the fabrication is suiting all your needs. Like it's suiting like, oh, I want this model with this big titties and all the list. Yeah. It's like, oh wow, just have to plug that in and I'm watching the perfect woman for me. But again, it's a fake one. I just wanted to mention something. We're talking about all these sexual blocks, premature ejaculation, porn addiction, but the biggest problem, and I feel the biggest emotional root of it is shame. So many men. Right. The problem is not necessarily not getting hard or ejaculating too quickly. It's the shame that you feel. The real pain is the shame that you feel afterwards, feeling less of a man, really feeling like a failure in the bedroom and feeling less of a man. And the problem is that this shame can be addictive. And some men, as you said, like you wake up one morning and you're like, fuck, I've been like gooning for 2 hours or I got caught by someone, or I feel ashamed because it's the 10th woman that I can't get hard with. I need to do something now. But most men with the shame, they get addicted to the shame and they go back to this perpetual vicious cycle, especially with porn.
Yeah, it must be very hard for the average guy coming in now, because I was watching it was before approaching, but maybe 14, 15, I started getting hooked on porn because you're just like, you can't get laid, right, as a young guy. Let's be honest. There's the one Chad in school getting sucked off through the fence. Everyone else is not getting anywhere, and it's just available. But now the quality of porn is just like blasted into your living room. It's HD, it's 8K. It's just like the hottest people. It's like, fuck, if you're exposed that early, you are fucked, isn't it? Because your brain is relying on it for so long.
Yeah, I mean, we're quite lucky, and I'm especially lucky because back in my day, the closest you could get was a copy of Razzle. A sort of
the magazines. Let me see the magazines.
Sort of like
the crumpled magazines.
Crumpled copy of Razzle from some backstreet store. So it was sort of, And I guess that was bad as well. But it was, I mean, now imagine digital natives growing up with this stuff. Just you can get it on your mobile immediately, just 24 hours a day. Crazy.
It's so bad that the statistics today, the people who try to have like real data for porn usage, they can't find men who haven't watched porn. It's like they can't compare the effect of porn on men who haven't watched porn because they can't find boys and men over 15 who never watched porn. And it's getting younger and younger. And the problem, it's really what you have in your pocket. It's like now you have this feeling of connection and having sex with women every time in your pocket with your phone.
So, but don't people realize? I was actually this is dystopian as well. I was actually having a conversation with AI about this recently because don't people realize that it's not as good? Like that, hammering one out to pornography is never actually as good as the real thing, or is it? What the AI said is because the question I was actually asking was, would AI romantic companions ever sort of become a mainstream thing? And it was saying the problem that you've got is it's not. The guys who are getting deeply into this stuff, they're not comparing, oh, is it as good as a real woman? Like they've got the choice. It's like they feel that they have no choice. So it's better than nothing, you know?
So I would say definitely they feel that they have no choice because they think that they can have a real woman in the real life. But also think about it in terms of shame. The AI is not shaming you. Porn is not shaming you. You might be shaming yourself, but you're not running the risk of being shamed by a woman. That's the problem, like the mindset, why it's also killing your dating life. It's you're thinking, I'm not going to risk meeting a real woman and being shamed by a real woman if I ejaculate too quickly or if I can't get hard. And therefore, I'm going to find the easy way to go and watch porn. So it's avoidance.
It all comes down to just basically not wanting to face rejection head on, doesn't it? And being and realizing, it's just part of the process. But if you just think about it logically, after you know watch porn, you hammer one out, you stroke one out. We've got to be smooth and French. Versus actually being with a woman you connect with on a sexual level when you've had sex. The afterglow is totally different. One is shame from the porn. You shut the laptop screen, your mum's banging on the door of the cleaners trying to hoover in there. The other is like you're in that oxytocin cuddle with a girl you genuinely vibe with. I mean, it's just completely different. So I think guys, maybe they're so numbed out to things because it's often stacked with other things. They're vaping, they're heavily drinking, they're smoking weed. All of these things, you know, men are they're in this terrible loop now where it's very rarely porn is a standalone thing. You've got these other things numbing you out. But if you really take time to think about it, it's night and day difference, right? How you feel after that connection with an actual woman that you vibe with versus a laptop screen.
And one thing that we were talking about that is important as well is your vision of your sexuality and your vision of your sex life is also highly based on experience. If you had I remember my first experience was so bad that I was trying to avoid sex because I didn't want to feel the strong feeling of shame. So if you had your first or second, even third experience were bad experiences, you were like, well, if that's the case, I'm going to avoid sex altogether. Me personally, suffering from premature ejaculation, I was really good at the dating. Like I would go and get as a bartender, I would get so many numbers, but I would never call the woman back because that would mean facing being shit in the bedroom. And I was like, okay, I've got the number. I feel good, but then I'm not going to push forward to have sex because I'm going to feel crap about myself. I'm going to feel
And your
ashamed.
colleagues, this was when you're working in London as a cocktail barman, your colleagues probably all thought you were getting laid like a rock star, but you're secretly too scared to actually...
And I think there's a lot of guys who are not admitting that as well. But me, what's even worse is sometimes I would have sex with a woman, but because I was crap, I would come back home and go and watch porn. Even though I just had sex, I would go and watch porn because I didn't want to face the feeling of being ashamed with a woman. I was stacking shame because shame of a woman plus shame of porn, but it was a fake sense of safety.
Right. Awesome. We've got some key points that you've written out here. We've agreed on. So we're just going to run through these. And if you want to go off and say anything about them afterwards, please go ahead. There's about 9 key points. So number 1, the silent problem most men never admit. Many men experience performance anxiety at some point. it can show up as worrying about sexual performance, fear of not satisfying a partner, overthinking during intimacy. Because men rarely talk about it, they assume they're the only one dealing with it. So yeah, as you talked about, it's kind of, you're not going to share it with you. They're going to share it with you, which is why you're awesome for clients, because it's a judgment-free zone. It's a safe container. But even, I mean, Troy always talks about his micro penis to me, but the average person is not going to go, you know, down the pub. Oh, John, you know, I couldn't, I only lasted 5 seconds and it's been going on for 5 years. It's going to be, oh, did you fucking, yeah, mate, it was awesome. You know, it's that lad kind of culture. Yeah. So it is kind of, it's, you have to live with it on your own. I guess that's probably quite detrimental to a lot of mental health for guys, isn't it?
And on the contrary, something that is really freeing for a lot of men is knowing that they are not alone. It's like when we talk about the stats, like 50 to 60% of men will experience sexual blocks in the bedroom. You are like, well, we're 3. That means that probably 2 out of the 3 people in this room, they already had this kind of issues. So you're like, okay, I'm not the only one. And as you said, because it's such a taboo subject, they think, oh, I'm the only one. I'm going to get judged by all my mates, when actually you're the one opening up. I remember that's what I did with a lot of my friends with porn addictions. And I was like, hey, man, I need to talk to you. Like, I feel that I have an addiction to porn. And it was like, fuck, like, me too, man. I've never been able to talk about it. Like, the fact that you're talking about it first, and then we started to talk about it, and it opened this box where we're like thinking we were alone, but we're not alone. So my first message to men is, you are not alone. Be open to talk about a friend or a therapist or a coach. That in itself is actually, I've seen a lot of clients just by talking about it, having improved the results. Like a man talking about, hey man, like I have premature ejaculation. It's so liberating. It's so freeing that there is less tension, that he is able to connect more to his sexuality, and he is able to last longer.
But would you recommend, because we've got some clients who overly share thinking they're being vulnerable with women, but actually sometimes I feel the girl does not need to know everything. It doesn't work the same way with you sharing with a woman you're maybe dating, does it? Or does it? What's your advice there?
So my advice is, I think Oyen Taraban and also Dr. K did a video about that. The woman is not your therapist. If you're overly emotional, overly sharing, overly vulnerable, it's going to kill the attraction. Okay. Now, if you know that you have premature ejaculation, to warn her, to say, hey, look, like, sometimes I have this. If that happens, no big deal. We can continue. I'm good with that. I'm good with open communication, but always in a sexy way. Like, oh no, I'm sorry, I have premature ejaculation. She's gonna lose all respect for you. Like, so many women, they say, I don't care if the guy like come too quickly or even can't get hard. What is bothering me is that he becomes a wimp. He becomes a pussy by crying and by thinking that I'm gonna fix him. And a lot of women will say, I've met many confident guys who had troubles in the bedroom, but wouldn't take it too seriously. They would take it lightly. And also because they had other skills. That's something that we need to talk about. So many men today, they don't have any skills in the bedroom. They don't know how to satisfy a woman. And they think that a strong cock for 3 hours is the only way, because they watch too much porn. But then, like, again, women, they don't care so much about your sexual blocks. They care more about how you handle it. And me, at the beginning of when I started to cure my premature ejaculation, a big step was that, being able to let go of it. Because before I was like crying, and I was really a wimp, and I was crying, and the women were like, what the fuck?
They thought it was tears of joy, but it wasn't. It was
no, definitely not tears of joy.
I mean, that's quite extreme. I know you're French and you're very emotional, but you're actually crying in the.
Yeah. So, two things, like
in a situation where you couldn't get a hard on, or
no, premature ejaculation.
Right.
Premature
Okay.
ejaculation. Yeah, because that was because look, I faked such a failure that at one point I was like, what's the point to have sex? I'm always going to disappoint a woman. And I can tell you that a lot of men, especially young men today, they feel that it can even lead to depression. Is, I'm never going to be able to satisfy a woman in the bedroom. That's where the strong shame and the biggest pain is.
And how old were you when you were going through this, just if we don't mind asking?
From 18 till 23, like 25.
And now you're 30, 35, right?
35, yeah. And
Just
got
had
rid
your
of premature
birthday. You're entering
ejaculation.
your prime as a man.
Yeah.
Many happy returns.
Thank you very much. Merci.
Okay, awesome stuff. So point number 2, sexual anxiety. This is how performance anxiety in the bedroom is killing your dating life. Point number 2, sexual anxiety starts long before the bedroom. A lot of guys think performance anxiety begins during sex, but it actually begins earlier, during flirting, on dates, when even considering approaching a woman. The thought is running in the background in your head. What if it leads to sex and I mess it up? That pressure can subconsciously make men avoid escalation or even approaching women entirely.
We have more and more of this phenomenon. Men will stop to approach women because they're so scared that if they are successful during the date, they will actually end up have to have sex. Oh, I will have to have sex with this woman, and I know that I cannot perform. I know that I'm going to be crap in bed, and therefore I do not want to face this shame and this painful feeling. Therefore, I'm going to avoid approaching altogether.
Well, it's what you talked about when you're being a barman. You were getting offers, because I've moonlighted in bars as well. It's phenomenal actually for dating. And actually just for banter. You know, you kind of that cliche of Tom Cruise in that movie Cocktail. You can work in high-end bars where actually you really have to work on your sales and banter skills, and also you're getting a lot of attention from women. So I think for a lot of guys, it's not a bad place to maybe just do 6 months, is it? But you're almost in this position. You were having offers, but you're just too scared to follow up because you're projecting forward about, oh fuck, what's actually going to happen when the clothes come off, you know?
So I would actually have like the good feeling of the dating and the approach and the excitement of the whole dating process, but I would stop right before the sex. But for some men today, it's even worse, is that they don't even approach because they think they see a beautiful woman and instantly their mind is going into scarcity mindset and fight or flight. It's like, oh my God, she's pretty. If I approach her, and if it works out, I'm going to have sex with her and I'm going to disappoint her. Therefore, I shut my mouth.
Awesome. Yeah. Troy, any thoughts? Anything to add on that one?
Well, I did bar work as well. Just on that note, I did a lot of bar
up
work.
In Manchester. That's when you started your transformation to Slayer.
Yeah, not that kind of transformation. The transformation to bar work was definitely because you do get a lot of attention. You can get into a lot of banter with people. It really improves your confidence and stuff. Beyond that, I totally get, and this is a point I think I've always made, and I think we've made before when we've done streams. Is the issue with this is it's not even just okay, how do I become a Superman lover? It's also that if you're worried about what's going to happen. You're afraid of success in a way because it's like, oh, if this goes really well, oh my God, what am I going to do then? Which is just a bad place to be, isn't it?
Totally agree. And so also like the anxiety in the bedroom, usually it's really deeply rooted, but men don't understand. They don't even understand themselves. Like, why am I scared to approach women? And the thing as well, we were talking about how it's killing your dating life. If you are scared of having sex, or if you don't feel comfortable and confident to have sex, one thing, we've done the edge also, you're not going to show up as masculine and as edgy. And because you're going to be scared and fearful, women, they have a sixth sense for that. So if you show up during the date and you're scared and fearful of sex, she's not going to be attracted towards you.
Yeah.
Good points. Yeah, subconscious kind of. You're right. Women have just they just have this intuition to pick up what you have issues around, and they're just going to sense that you're not comfortable around women, or you're just something there. 100%.
And to put it the other way around, I guess what they are screening for are guys who seem to be virile and in control, and they know what they're doing, and blah blah blah. So if you're sort of sub-communicating the opposite to that, that's just not going to be very attractive to her, is it?
You've got to be able to hold sexual tension, don't you? And if you can't do that, women just like, he doesn't get it. There's something there he doesn't get,
For me, it's sexual tension and masculine identity. because most women, they're not looking for the best lover with a 12-inch cock. I'm sorry for you, James, but what they are looking
12 centimeters, maybe.
what they're looking for, it's actually a man who is confident about himself. Being confident about yourself doesn't mean that you're the best lover. It's knowing what you're good at and what you're not good at, but being able to show it and to express it with confidence and without fear.
Awesome.
Yes.
Point number 3, sexual shame blocks confidence. Many men grow up with confusing messages about sexuality. Examples like shame around sexual desire, fear of being too sexual, guilt around sexual thoughts. This is especially common where me and Troy grew up in, the Anglosphere. There's UK, there's a lot of weird kind of pseudo-Christian stuff mixed in with suppression, talking about sex. I think France is a bit more sexually open, which is great. Brazil, where I am, is super sexually open. It's celebrated, which is awesome. But, definitely Anglosphere, UK, US, Australia, Canada, there's a lot of kind of weirdness there around sex.
Yeah. Unless it's between men, and then there's no problem.
Brokeback Mountain, Heath Ledger's fight. That creates internal conflict. Men want intimacy but feel uncomfortable expressing sexual energy. I think this is a super common one, isn't it? It's a real... Men don't even know what sexual energy is. They're sneaking to the bathroom to have a wank. Their mum comes in being like, what are you doing? Like it's something bad. It's really kind of a bad system, isn't it, in place in lots of parts of the world.
And that's where I was saying that it's deeply rooted. It's because it's come from the taboo and the shame on sex in general. It's not just the shame on your sexual performances. It's shame on the matter of sex, and nobody taught you what is great sex. Nobody taught you that you can have desires, that you can have needs, that there are things that you're allowed to not like as well in the bedroom. One of the first exercises that I give to my client is make a list of what you like and what you don't like in the bedroom. And most men, they are like, what? Like, don't like in the bedroom? They have no clue about their desires. And so being able to connect with that as well, it's going to be a huge benefit to have a great sex life. It's really like being comfortable with sex. It's being able to have conversation about sex with women, but also with your friends, with mates. As you said, like if you have like one shameful conversation with your mates, you're never going to talk again about sex. And that's going to create again this shame and this bubble you're going to stay in. I can't talk about sex. I can't talk about my problems. I can't talk about my desires. Maybe you have some special desires, but you say that to one friend and all of a sudden the whole university knows and you're shamed for that, your finger pointed for that. So yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a good point though you make about being able to talk about sex with women, because that's something, again, guys might get comfortable with men, but you've got to be able to be sexual with women. We're not saying like overly sexual, but insinuation, telling her what you actually like. You use a great quote which came from your mentor who taught you this stuff. I believe she was an older sex coach, a woman. And she said, yeah, if you're not able to talk about sex on a date, you're looking for a roommate, right? Not a lover. So being able to be sexual with women on text, voice note, actually in person, that's something a lot of guys are never taught to do. So of course, when you start doing that, it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel weird because no one's fucking taught you. But it's something that's very necessary, isn't it? To see sex as this life force. The reason any of us are here, anyone watching this and all of us, is some hardcore banging between two people that produce us as human beings. It's an essential component. We're born, we reproduce, we die. We're animals. And it's all this kind of brain fluff and societal programming we need to get rid of to see it as a beautiful thing, right?
Totally agree. And so the thing is, again, when you're able, you said, you used the word necessary. If you want a woman to want to have sex with you, you're going to have to be able to talk about sex. You're going to have to be able to sexually escalate. Yes, in a calibrated way, but no woman is thinking, oh, I want to fuck this guy because we're having boring, normal conversation.
Right.
It is one of the key foundational things, isn't it? And we are constantly, when we're working with clients, we're constantly saying, you need to be more man to woman. You need to be more, you need to bring out some sexuality somehow. You need to inject that in some way into the way that you're interacting. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of polite, pretty boring conversations, and then you're just going to get blown out like a cheap paper bag.
Yes. The ability to flirt.
you're going to complain. You're going to complain. Why are women not desiring me? Well, because you're not desirable. Because you're not able to face your own sexual desires and your own sexuality and to show it and to express it and to express your desires to other women.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of women will complain about that. They will think, why is he not attracted to me? Because they want men to talk about sex. They want men to be comfortable with their own sexuality. And when a man is just talking about boring conversation, looking like interviewing a roommate, she's going to think personally, I'm not attractive. It doesn't want me. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, it is genuinely the major missing piece that we find with most clients, actually, apart from they don't approach in the first place. And then after that, people talk about conversation skills and all of that. And yeah, it's important. But in the end, if you're not bringing out that sexuality in the interactions you're having with her, then you're going to lose more than you're going to win. Put it that way.
And a big part of your masculine identity is owning your sexual desires and being able to say, this is what I want, this is what I like. I think you're attractive. I think I would love to do that with you. When are we gonna do that? When are we gonna?
But there's calibration, isn't there? Because the danger is guys thinking, I'm gonna go full Alan Roger Curry here and just go up to women and go, I want to fuck you now, and that's obviously just gonna fall fucking flat, right?
No,
it's not calibrated.
Yeah, I mean, no, completely. I mean, all of this, if it's sounding like, so therefore just be really crude with women up front.
And direct, direct. And
not at all.
Yeah, that's not what we're saying, or certainly that's not how I would operate.
That's a great point that you bring, because most men, they will scared to sexually escalate because they think that they would end up in this extreme. And that's the problem today. Most men, most nice guy, they are not sexually escalating because they are scared of being seen as a creep or a weirdo or being way overly sexual, when actually they're not pressing on the gas enough. When not talking about go to a woman and say, I want to fuck you. Of course, it's seduction, but women, they need and they want that.
So it's bringing it out in a subtle, playful way, isn't it? That's the thing that is socially acceptable, because it's not like going in there and just saying something really crude and expecting that to land well, but it's sort of just introducing it gently under the surface, eye contact. I know, we know what we're talking about here. It's that kind of thing, isn't it? And guys, I think, often just aren't able to do that or don't understand why it's necessary.
It's the playful co-conspirator frame, isn't it? It's like foreplay begins at hello. There's a cheeky look in the eye. You'll communicate. You're talking about the weather, but you're not. You're like, oh, you're trouble. It's just this insinuation of let's go on an adventure, this love bubble between us.
A lot of it is the subtext. A lot of it is not what's said. But and we have clients who will do. They'll go around and do 100 approaches when they're in some, Latin America or some reasonably favorable country and not really get anything. And I would say, my guess is the main reason for that is because they're not sexualizing it. They're not bringing this energy into it enough.
And they sound like robots. They sound boring. And therefore, they're asking themselves, why is this woman not desiring me? Well, because you're not making her feel desirable. I always say foreplay starts at the first eye contact. Foreplay starts even before you talk to a woman. If she's looking at you, coming to her with confidence, and you're looking at her like, I know that we're going to fuck tonight because you're sexy, I'm sexy, and we're going to have a lot of fun, then foreplay starts there. That it's a mindset. If you think, oh my God, she's pretty, but she's scary. What if I mess up in the bedroom? That's going to show in your non-verbal and your verbal communication, and she's not going to want to fuck you.
Yeah, I think a lot of men are carrying sexual shame to some degree. I mean, it's something I've had, I think Bonaparte, you've said you've had everyone I've spoken to has some varying degree of sexual shame. It's just being consciously aware of it and then trying to work through it. Obviously, that's part of the work you do, isn't it, with clients, working through sexual shame, and it can be overcome. Just because you don't feel very sexual and you find it hard to flirt with women doesn't mean once kind of the subconscious stuff is worked on, you can literally reinvent yourself, can't you, as quite a sexual guy in a calibrated way.
Oh yeah, we had many clients who went from like former Mr. Nice Guy, or they were like really shy or timid or scared or ashamed of their sexuality, to become really confident, not by being the best lover with 110 techniques, but by being comfortable and confident in the bedroom, and that completely transformed their sex life. And I usually say it's both. Yes, learn how to be a great lover with techniques and skills and understand women's psychology, what women want, but it's also working on the internal stuff, on you, on your self-confidence, your self-esteem, and your self-worth as a lover, but most importantly as a man and with your masculine identity.
Yeah.
Awesome. Point number 4, overthinking destroys sexual presence. Performance anxiety usually comes from thinking instead of feeling. The brain starts asking questions like, am I doing this right? Is she enjoying it? What happens if I lose my hard on? That mental loop kills relaxation and connection. Confidence and intimacy comes from presence, not constant evaluation. Yeah. The thinking is the death knell, isn't it?
If we had to do a segue with dating, it's the same with approaching. It's what's stopping you to approach. It's the mental loop. It's the fear. It's the self-limiting belief. It's the inner chatter that is telling you you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. It's the same in the bedroom. You're not good enough. You're not going to be able to satisfy her. She's going to laugh at you. She's going to talk to all of her friends and they're going to laugh about you. That's what's happening in your mind. But in reality, none of that is happening. And Connor Beaton says a lot of men, they are decapitated emotionally from the neck down. They're always in the mental loop, but they don't know how to feel their sexual desires in their whole body, not just in their cock and in their genitals, but in their whole body. And you were talking about the non-verbal communication. A man who really owns his sexual desire, you can see him from a mile away. You see him how he walks, how he presents himself, how he talks, his voice. It's very sensual and sexual. And that's what a lot of women want and are attracted to.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I think this grounded presence that we need to develop, that's the basis for all flirting, isn't it? And just being in the moment. And you can't really connect with life unless you're able to train presence as a skill. And especially be sexual, right? You're not just, women will just sense you're not quite there. So that's a life skill we all need to train, I think.
And I would say one last thing, I would say this is natural attraction. When you're in tune and when you're comfortable with your own sexual desires and your sexuality, then you attract women naturally. You will have women starting to come towards you because it's so different from all the simps and the soy boy out there. She will be like, oh, wow. This is, when we talk about confidence is the number one trait that women are looking for in a man. Confidence is also like being sexually confident. I can fuck any woman in that room.
Awesome. How do you fake that though? Because a number of clients, they're getting into this, they draw a line in the sand, and they're like, "Fuck, I need to work on this stuff." And let's be honest, they're getting after it. They're working on their fashion, their fitness. They're working with you. They're sorting out their testosterone, but they don't have that sexual reference experience. Is it just a kind of fake it till you make it mindset, where they just have to kind of pretend to themselves, "Yeah, I can fuck any girl here," even if they don't have the stats to actually back that up?
It's not one or the other, it's both. Just to give you a perfect example, me with premature ejaculation, when I started my training, that started also with the mind. I was like, I can last as long as I want. And I was brainwashing myself with positive affirmations, with visualization about being able to last longer. And on the other side, I was doing all the exercises, the physical exercises to last longer. So I think it's both. It's also proof of concept. When you start to be more and more comfortable, just make a list of the things you want to do in the bedroom and the thing you don't want. And that will you will have a conversation with yourself about sex. Have this conversation with yourself. This is the first step for you to be able to be like, actually, I'm sexual. There is some stuff that I want to do in the bedroom. What's next? And that's going to kickstart having a positive mindset. A lot of things, it's growth mindset versus fixed mindset. So many men today, they're stuck into the fixed mindset of, I'm not born a great lover. I don't know how to satisfy women in the bedroom. I have premature ejaculation and that will never change. No, fuck that. Have a growth mindset. Okay, I'm not born with the best hand, but I can learn.
Awesome. Anything to add, Mr. France, on that one?
I don't think so. Let's go on to the next point.
Next point, number 5, fear of failure creates avoidance. Some men avoid situations that might lead to sex. They might delay escalating physical intimacy, stay in safe conversations, like you said, Mr. Bonaparte, in the bar, when you're getting the numbers you don't want to follow up, or just avoid dating altogether. Avoidance protects the ego temporarily, but reinforces anxiety long term.
And that's for me, it's the biggest hurdle and the biggest lie. It's like your inner chatter is so good at lying to you. It's like, hey, look, if you don't approach her, you're not gonna feel shame. Do that for 6 months, a year, 5 years, and you're gonna see how you're gonna end up being resentful and full of regrets and full of shame. And that's also a quality of your masculine identity. Take fucking risks. So many men, they are pussies.
What would you?
And then,
just on a tangent to that, what would you say? Because I was thinking about this recently. I did a video. What would you say about the guys? And we might even get them in the chat today, who just say, "Oh, God, men have got to learn so much now. We've got to learn how to. There's so much. I'm out. I've just decided, fuck it. I'm just going to leave the dating market. The juice isn't worth the squeeze." That's the classic line, isn't it? What do you think about those guys? Because my suspicion is they're coping. Because if they were truly happy with that decision, why would they be posting about it in the comments of the chat? And secondly, it's all right to say, some of these guys are probably quite young. So if you're like 25 and you're saying, yeah, I'm done, lads, I'm out. Great. But how are you going to feel in 5 years' time, right? I don't think it's actually sustainable for most of these men, if I'm completely honest. And I don't think it's actually what they really want either. I think they're just trying to play a good game on the internet.
Look, guys, today we're talking about taboo subject and we're talking about sex, but I think another taboo subject that is really problematic with men, it's men are dying and killing themselves more than ever because of loneliness. There is a fucking loneliness epidemic that are killing men and young boys more and more because of that. And it's part of my work also to talk about it, because thinking like, oh, I'm done and I'm going to stay in my bedroom is creating this loneliness. And again, this constant feeling of shame. You think that you're going to avoid shame by not approaching and seeing a real woman, but you're gonna feel shame, even more shame, by staying in your bedroom and by watching porn and not talking to anybody and to real women. And actually, the fear of approaching women is so much more painful that the pain you might experience if you get rejected, but your inner chatter is proving you the contrary, because it's comfort, because you stay in your comfort zone. The pain that is actually much more bearable than the hypothetic probability of facing a woman. Either if you get rejected or not, it's something different, and therefore your brain and your inner chatter, they don't want that, and so they tell you, oh no, stay home, stay in bed, watch porn, so much easier for you. And then 5 years, 10 years, you have depression.
You can't trick the subconscious as well. So it's irrelevant if me and Troy or you are saying go and do your approaches and you're just saying to us you're doing them. Your subconscious records everything, right? Good and bad, and then bases how you feel about yourself and your personality around what it sees constantly. It's constantly recording. Unfortunately, you can't get away from that. So if you're constantly avoiding these situations, of course you can say to your friends down the pub, oh yeah, it's fine, but deep inside you're dreadfully lonely, unhappy, because you're essentially lying to yourself, right? And this is where this David Goggins style brutal self-accountability needs to come in, because there's no way of fixing it unless you're being honest with yourself. And as you said, the ego is a very clever beast. It will do everything to slip away and try and protect you. But ultimately, it's the path to deep unhappiness and depression. And I know personally, probably 3 relatively close friends of mine who killed themselves. And I think it was really to do with sexual stuff they weren't willing to talk about. So it's a very real problem, isn't it? We've got to address. You're doing the God's work, the Lord's work. I'm not religious, Bonaparte, but if I was, I'd be doing, I'd be going into battle in the Crusades with a flag of your face on there with your cock coming out, saying you're doing the Lord's work.
With the French flag. Actually, a lot of clients told me these kind of thoughts. And if I can share a personal story, like really owning it and taking risk to break the cycle, that's what I recommend to all men suffering today. Take some fucking risk, talk about it to someone, and actually face the possibility of fucking up. That's how I broke my premature ejaculation. That's how I cured my premature ejaculation. I went from suffering from premature ejaculation to having premature ejaculation, but owning it. Guess what? I started and I said to a woman, hey, look, I have premature ejaculation. I want to learn how to last longer. Can you help me with that? And because she was a friend with benefit, she was like, yeah, sure. Guess what? After 3-4 times, I was able to last like 10-15 minutes. The first time I was able to last a minute was actually more, I felt more joy lasting a minute than lasting 20 minutes, because this first minute I was able to last for me was like, it's working. The work that I'm doing, it's working. Don't expect to be perfect the first time. But it's like if you have erectile dysfunction, don't expect to go from a limp dick to having a strong erection for 20 minutes. But when you see that you're getting your erections are coming back more easily and more easily, or you start to have morning woods when for the last 10 years you didn't have morning woods, then you're like, fuck, it's working. And therefore you're more positive. Because you're more positive, you're less stressed, and therefore it's more likely that it happens.
Yeah. I would say porn again is a big thing there, I think, with the old morning wood situation. Because I think, well, you know, if you're exposing yourself literally to that material, then it kind of takes away, it just sort of takes away from your natural sexuality. And after a while, it just resets, which is kind of quite encouraging, actually.
Yeah, stop to watch porn for a month and see your morning woods come back. That's a big one.
I mean, even I'd go further, and once you cut that, I'd say, I mean, I don't usually masturbate, to be honest. Like if I do, it's as you call it, mindful masturbation, and I'm definitely not ejaculating. I'm tying ejaculation to approaching and dating, and that makes you way more horny, or what you're able to channel that sexuality into it, and you become more animalistic, you know, because it's literally life force. If you think about, you know, that small amount of liquid can create human beings, right? And guys are just willy-nilly just throwing it away 5 days a week, and then wondering why they feel like drained and not bothered to go out. It's like, come on, like it's not fucking rocket science, is it?
But you can go a little bit far with this, though, can't you? The whole semen retention thing. And I mean, we've got a colleague.
You can.
We've got a colleague. Should I name him? I don't know, but
probably not.
Who basically apparently has sworn off any ejaculation at all, including if he's having sex with a girl. To me, that's taking it a bit far, but I don't know what your thoughts are, Bonaparte.
But look, it's like if you had a friend who is a vegan. I respect that you're a vegan, but I'm gonna continue to eat meat. Me personally, it's all about balance. I know that for me, it's not about completely stopping ejaculation, and it's always the extreme. Like, why would you go from one extreme to the other, from ejaculating 4 times a day to no ejaculation for 10 years? No, for me, that's not.
Yeah, I think there's an argument, and I wouldn't adhere to this necessarily myself, but I think there's an argument to say don't ejaculate unless a woman is present. There's that you could go to that extent, but I think if you're also then in the bedroom with women, you know, and you're having sex, you're doing stuff, and you're like, no, I will keep my seed. That seems to me to be a little bit like it, like what, you know. There are so few pleasures in life anyway. What are we really doing here? What's the ultimate purpose of this?
Look, like, to be completely honest and fair, I would say that there is, let's say that you know that you have an important meeting in the afternoon and you are with a sexy woman in the morning, have sex with her and don't ejaculate. Because as you said, like, ejaculating is very powerful. Like I dare any man listening to us to ejaculate 3 times a day and then to go to have a competitive sports, to play competitive sports. You're not going to feel as good and as energized as if you were keeping your seed. So again, all in balance, but definitely most men, the biggest problem today is not most men are not ejaculating, is that they are ejaculating too much. And so finding balance is the key as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So next point, number 6 on the list, is porn and unrealistic expectations. Modern sexual expectations are heavily influenced by porn. Many men believe they need to perform endlessly, know exactly what to do, be constantly dominant and confident. Real intimacy doesn't work like that. These unrealistic standards increase pressure.
Yeah. And so that's when you have this crazy narrative of men watching too much porn, and they see men being able to last long and have strong erections on command. And because they're so scared that they're not going to be able to match that, they start to get stressed. And because they are stressed, they are losing their erection. And also, like, why is the woman not screaming and having 7 orgasms within 30 seconds of me penetrating her? All this fake presentation. Now porn is so, it's showing you so many different things and positions, and you think that you need to have that in order to have normal sex and to satisfy a normal woman. No, as we said, like, women, they want 2 things. They want a man who is confident, and they want to feel connected.
100% agree. Point number 7, women respond to confidence and presence. Your next point entirely. Most women are not evaluating men like judges. What they tend to respond to more is comfort, confidence, emotional connection, relaxed energy. An anxious man who's in his head often appears disconnected. So yeah, as you mentioned before, training this in person, just this grounded masculine presence, right? Super important.
And you know, something that I wanted to say earlier, it's most men, they are scared. They are not sexually escalating because they are scared to be seen as too sexual. And as you said, like, if you're a man and you go to see a woman and say, I want to fuck you, that's way too much. But the problem is not just they say I want to fuck you, is if a man is going and say I want to fuck you, the woman is going to feel like a piece of meat. She's not going to feel desirable. She's not going to feel like you really desire her. The whole desire, it's because you take the time to talk to her and to calibrate, but also to express your sexual desires towards her. We always say, and I always say that most women, you want to have sex with a woman, you have to turn her on emotionally. You have to excite her brain before to excite her pussy, because most men will have sex with you because they feel sexually aroused by your words and by your nonverbal communication, even way before you touch her. You can literally make a woman wet and have an orgasm by just talking to her. I had some clients who really trained their voice and hypnosis and stuff like that, and they managed to make women getting wet and aroused and even have orgasms just with the power of their voice.
Well, I mean, your French accent, Bonaparte, it's doing it for me. I mean, I don't know what it's like for the women, but any women watching
I'm
this,
born that way, baby. I'm born that way. Sorry, not sorry.
Baby, I was born this way.
This may be a point we've written down. I can't remember, but just it's come up now in my head. Do a lot of men have limiting beliefs, thinking that women aren't sexual for some reason? Is that still pervasive?
Oh yeah.
Even though they're watching porn all day long, right? And the women in the porn scene seem, at least, to be very, very much enjoying it. Still bedded down in their belief is that women don't enjoy sex. Do you still see that as common?
Yeah, it's common, and it's a beautiful paradox, because men want to have sex with women. Men want to have sex with women who enjoy sex as well, who are comfortable and confident with sex. But in the meantime, they think that women are not sexual, or that they don't enjoy sex as much as men, which is complete bullshit. Yes, women enjoy sex a bit differently than what usually most men do, but women are very sexual creatures. I mean, we've seen that especially in Latin cultures, like in Colombia or in Brazil. Go to the carnival in Brazil, do a bootcamp, and tell me if women are not sexual creators and they don't enjoy sex. Yes,
we did do one, and they are incredibly sexual. But the problem was, all of the guys on the bootcamp last year had such high levels of sexual shame. No one even kissed a girl. So we needed you there to help them.
So most men, they prevent themselves to have a great sexual experience, not because of the woman, because of their own inner chatter and self-limiting beliefs.
Yes.
And that's something that is also a big part of my work. It's helping men to to break these self-limiting beliefs that usually come from childhood, from the taboo. We don't talk about sex, masturbating is bad, a lot of religious stuff as well. Breaking these self-limiting beliefs and actually being comfortable and confident about the fact that women, they enjoy sex as much as men do in a different way.
Arguably more. In a weird way.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. A billion wicked thoughts.
Yeah.
So that's a great example, actually, where porn has been useful. the one time we'll say it is good because Google engineers bought porn data from all the big porn companies and just put it into a book, 1 billion wicked thoughts, which is 1 billion pornographic internet searches, 500 million from men, 500 million from women, and it lays out the common findings and the patterns of what women are attracted to, and it's really eye-opening. So I highly recommend guys read that or listen to it. It's called 1 Billion Wicked Thoughts.
One thing that I want to share to make men realize that women are very sexual. What is the #1 book read by women? 50 Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Grey. And that's, they are yearning. They have this strong desire to be with a masculine man, with a dominant man. But most men, they are scared to do that because they are scared of being judged. It's always a matter of calibration, yes. But so many, you hear that as well. So many women, they say, where are all the good men? Like really, if you read under the line is, where are all the men that can make me feel feminine and make me feel like a queen in the street and a bitch between the sheets? I really stand by this. I really stand by this one because most women, that's what they want. They want to feel respected when everybody is watching, and when you take them home, is mush their face in the pillow and pull their hair and fuck them like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, and guys will be afraid because of the sort of political correct environment. And I mean, we had a guy on here the other day, Bonaparte, who was basically saying, you know what, Europe's so woke now, you can't approach women in Europe anymore. And I was like, what? I was like, it's quite a big place. You know, it's quite a big place. Are you genuinely saying that men literally cannot approach women in Europe, in the whole of the continent of Europe anymore? Because I see it every fucking day. So I don't know what reality you're living in. But anyway, the point that I wanted to make is that guys think, oh, well, if I try to be sexual or whatever, I'm going to just get me too'd. They're going to call the police or whatever. But that's a sort of naive way of looking at it, because actually there's a very calibrated, subtle way of doing this, and even doing what you're saying, which is respect her in the daytime. Absolutely, of course. In the bedroom, you know, you're both role playing to a certain extent. There's absolutely a way to do this, which is completely acceptable. It's not about just being this crude sort of. And I think actually, because a lot of guys, they have this black and white thinking, maybe they can't see that very well.
And so, you know, talking about black and white, the archetype that we love is the dark gentleman. And so it's being able to be a gentleman and to respect women and to respect consent. And at the same time, you can have both, like really embodying and enjoying the good qualities of the dark triad. It's a perfect balance between the dark triads and the light triad. And these men, fuck. I can tell you, like, the dark gentleman is what women want in the bedroom.
Yeah. And do you think
some examples of that would be... No, sorry. Go ahead, Troy.
Do you believe that men can no longer approach women in the whole of Europe?
Fuck no.
2026.
Fuck no. Everywhere women are women, and that's so crazy. Is that's what I don't like also with the incel movement and the black pill. It's like, it's not about a woman. You're putting the pressure and you're avoiding to take risk because you're avoiding responsibility. It's not about the woman. It's that you're scared. You were talking about coping. They're definitely coping. They're definitely scared because there is a lot of women out there, even like young women, older women. I don't care about the age. They want masculine men. They want dark gentlemen.
I mean,
but that's like the one thing is taking the risk to go and talk to a woman. Yes, you might get rejected. The only way you're going to get Me Too'd and the police is going to come to arrest you is if you show up to a woman and say, I want to fuck you. Yes, that will happen. If you don't do that, if you're just slightly more subtle, you're not going to be arrested.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Alan Roger Curry would be spinning in his grave, won't he, right now? But
yeah, I mean, the approaching women in Europe thing, look, me and Troy have spent time in countries where it's kind of on the surface a bit more. There's some religious elements mixed in. Istanbul is a great example. And women are even more sexual because of suppression. It's like a pressure cooker where it needs to come out, right? So, yeah, I mean, how would you guys who have heard that term the first time, they're hearing that term for the first time now, dark gentleman. Examples of that may be Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders, Batman, Daniel Craig, it's the 70% good guy, but 30% edge, capacity for violence, ruthlessness, sexuality, right? That's maybe not sexuality because that's saying it's a dark thing. It's not. It's a beautiful thing, right? But how would you summarize the dark gentleman in your own words if you're describing that?
I really like to use James Bond as an example, but
Daniel Craig's James Bond, not Roger Moore or one of the kind of very easy ones, right?
Miss Moneypenny.
Actually, when you think...
he was a good Bond as well. Sean Connery, the goat.
Keanu Reeves, when you think about it, it's like, oh, so gentleman is really quote unquote gentle in the real world. You have so many proof that he's giving his seat in the tube and stuff like that. The guy can ride a motorcycle and shoot 2 guns at the same time. That's for me also is a great example. Aragorn in The Lord of the Ring, he can protect and is really respectful, but also he can hold the sword and go to combat. So it's really facing risk. So the part of the dark is facing risk and being comfortable, unapologetic. I don't give a fuck about what people think. That's a big one. So many men, they don't approach women and they don't sexually escalate. But what if there is someone hearing me and they will judge me? I don't give a fuck. Like, I have sexual desires. I'm really open to talk about sex. It's easy for me because I'm a sex coach, but I wasn't born that way. I was always scared about talking about sex. But when you break the spell the first time and you start to talk about sex with women in a seducing way, even sometimes very bluntly, like I went on a date in Colombia or in Brazil or even in France when the woman was really comfortable talking about sex, and we eat it up pretty quickly. And you know that it's going to be great in the bedroom because the woman is matching you in terms of, okay, we're open talking about sex. We're going to have fun.
Awesome.
Well, this guy's Matlockization has put, yes, you can approach EU women, but succeeding, that's a question all of its own compared to other countries. I mean, again, I get what you're saying. There are places that are probably a bit easier, for sure. We talk about that on here all the time. But are you seriously saying, Matlockization, that no one's getting laid in the whole of the EU? Is that really the consensus that we've got here? It's obvious nonsense. It's a limiting belief, isn't it?
And that's the problem, is that most men, they will think that way. Meanwhile, there's a guy who is fucking 7 women because he's not thinking like that, because he have a growth mindset, and because he's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to go and approach women. I'm going to get rejected, but it's going to work with some women, and I'm going to have a lot of success and a lot of fun.
I mean, is Colombia easier? Yeah, for sure. Is maybe
Brazil.
Russia, Brazil, all of these places.
Finland.
I mean, absolutely. You get a bit of an easier ride. But to say that in this huge continent landmass that, effectively no guys get, approaching and getting results is just patent nonsense. And it's not just our experience. I see this every day. And every time I go to Europe, mainland Europe.
And Troy and James as well. For me, it's very similar with the dating apps. On dating apps, it's 10% of the men who are fucking 90% of the women. It's very similar in the real world in terms of the 10% of men who are comfortable with their own sexuality and who are confident in the bedroom are having sex with most of the women.
I just think that there are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of problems in the current dating market, and we should face up to that and talk about it. But there's no point in saying things that just don't even make any sense in reality. There's no point in, you can't approach in this whole continent. It's just not helping anybody, is it?
Well, it's also avoidance. Like, let's be honest, we can tell straight away when questions like that come through, the guy is taking zero action. It's just obvious, right? Because there is, the only certainties in life is women will continue to have sex, we'll have to pay taxes, and we're all going to die. That's it. I mean, that's it. End of story. Point number 8. No, yes. 2 to go. Sexual confidence comes from experience. Just like social skills, sexual confidence improves with experience. The biggest shifts come from letting go of perfectionism, being present, communicating with a partner, and seeing intimacy as exploration rather than performance. So this is a kind of a chicken and egg scenario, isn't it? Because, again, a lot of the clients coming in, they're like, fuck, I need to work with Bonaparte. I need to fix this shit. But if I'm being brutally honest, obviously I'm not getting results. That's why I'm on the boot camp with Tusk and Troy. So this is maybe where some fake it, you make it, as you talked about, growth mindset. Like, it's just those reference experiences, isn't it? Like you said, just getting to 1 minute was with a fuck buddy, friends with benefits. That was a big milestone, a bit like guys who go on their first instant date from day game and then take the first girl home. So it is, you've just got to believe that it's possible, right?
Yes, it's the belief that it's possible. I wouldn't even say, look, I'm a big fan of fake it until you make it, but it's changing your belief by thinking I can. This is possible. And letting go of the perfection. So
and
many
don't
men
tell that this way you shouldn't be too vulnerable with women, because we've had clients go on dates and boot camps going, oh yeah, the girl's like, why are you in Bogota? And they're like, well, I'm actually on a dating boot camp. I'm learning to talk to women. And it's like the girl is just like, oh, for God's sake.
I mean, what a schoolboy error that is. Really.
But same with being sexual. You don't tell the girl, oh, by the way, I'm really hoping you're my first one that I make it past 10 seconds with. I mean, it's not going to turn the girl on, is it? So selective honesty, not let me tell everyone everything. That's fucking retarded. But again, no judgment. A lot of clients, they just don't realize, like, vulnerability doesn't mean tell everyone that with a pulse your deep dark secrets. That's selective honesty only, you know.
And it's finding, again, don't treat her as your therapist. She shouldn't be your sexologist. She shouldn't be your sex coach. She shouldn't be your sex coach.
What about astrologist if she's Russian? If she's Russian, they love that shit. It's chick crack for them, isn't it? They love it. Can talk about that all day long.
You were talking about the chicken and egg. I think it's really both. It's okay, I'm learning how to become a better lover by coaching or mentorship or reading books or watching podcasts about that, and also starting to build up on your belief. You know, something that I always start when I work with clients, it's I believe in you more than you believe in yourself, and I will continue to believe in you until you believe in yourself.
Awesome.
And this is it. It's self-belief.
Phenomenal. Point number 9, the final point, the real goal, and then we'll go on some questions. The real goal, relax masculine energy. The most attractive sexual energy is not trying hard. It's relaxed confidence, curiosity, responsiveness to the partner, and the present moment. The mind set shifts from I must perform well to we're exploring and enjoying the moment together. Yeah, it's very profound, isn't it? But it's true. Ultimately, all we have is the present moment. So if you can get comfortable with that, that's where the magic happens.
You know, the one belief that will kill the attraction and kill the sexual attraction and that will bring you no results with women, I'm not good enough. If you constantly thinking, I'm not good enough in bed, I'm not good enough to seduce her, I'm not good enough to give her pleasure, you're never going to be able to have success. When you start to think, I don't want you to think that you're the best. I don't want you to think that you're perfect. I just want you to start to think, I am good enough and I can get better. Start with that. Start with this positive mindset and you will see everything will change in the right direction.
Yeah. I've got a slightly devil's advocate question here, though. Do you think that sometimes guys get too wound up with their technique and, oh, I've got to make her orgasm in this specific way or in this specific situation nobody has before, so that gives you extra brownie points? Because counterintuitively, in my own experience, I've had relationships with women where I haven't been that bothered about her for whatever reason. The sex hasn't actually been particularly great. Nothing to write home about, as much as my mum loves those letters. So, and yet those girls have been they've become obsessed with me. So guys think, and this makes sense, because why would you not think this? There's a direct correlation between I've given her great sex, so therefore she's going to love me forever. But is that necessarily true in the real world? Because it's not my experience.
I agree. And actually, it's counterproductive because sometimes a guy who is overly focusing on his skills is going to do like 7 different things. And the woman is going to think he's done that many times before. And she's not going to feel, she's not going to feel valued. She's not going to feel unique. Again, she's going to feel like a piece of meat. Yes, a piece of meat, maybe with a little bit more pleasure, but she's not going to feel special. And there's definitely a point where overly focusing on skills and I need. No, it's I want to do that with you. A perfect sentence that you can even voice out during foreplay is I want to do that with you to a woman because she's going to feel special, she's going to feel desired, and therefore it's more likely that you're both going to enjoy.
Yeah. Is it just because it gets a bit too mechanical after a while?
Yeah, and some men, they think that the skills is everything, and they will use the skill and the woman, because all women are different. And taking squirting for example, I teach men how to make women squirt, but not all women will squirt, and not all women enjoy squirting. If a woman is not enjoying or cannot squirt, and you spend 2 hours, oh no, but wait, but I need to do this and this angle and stuff, but she cannot do it, she's gonna feel so shitty. She's gonna feel like, why is it? It's the same as a man who wants to last as long as he wants and who is hammering in and out for half an hour. The woman is looking at a watch like, when is it gonna be over? Because he's way too much focusing on the performance and not on the sexual connection.
Because when you think about a real connection with a woman, I mean, sometimes, you know, you can have a really quick bit of sex and then you go out in the evening, and that's great. It's all part of your story together. It doesn't all have to be this super, you've got the spreadsheet out going, right, how many, you know, have I made her have her first orgasm in this position and everything? You know, it's all a bit too sort of planned and mechanical. I don't think that's what human beings really respond to.
Most of the best sexual experience I had, and most of the most connected I felt with women, was during one night stands. I had many one night stands where it was just one night stand, but because we were both open to what we wanted and we were both desiring and having fun with the same thing, we felt connected. Never see each other again, but we felt connection in the present moment, and we had amazing sex.
Yeah, interesting. Well, and I agree as well. Should we go through a few of the comments and questions then?
Yes, some parishionoses.
All right, dirty Dan. Question: my dick didn't work with girl 2 months ago, and now she's put me in the friend zone. It's not so much a question; it's more a statement. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about that?
So my first question is: are you sure that she put you in the friend zone because you couldn't get hard? And second thing is, if she put you in the friend zone because you didn't get hard, is she a good woman to be with? And also, how did you handle the fact that you didn't get hard? Did she really put you in the friend zone because you didn't have a hard dick, or because you were ashamed about it and you killed the connection in the present moment? Because I had many men that I've helped and many clients who are still maybe sometimes struggling from erectile dysfunction, who can't get hard, but because they're owning it and because they know how to deal with it, the women are still wanting to be with them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember years ago, I haven't had a huge problem with this, but I remember years ago having a bit of a problem with it. And there was this one girl, really attractive, and, you know, she came back to my place. Nothing, you know, we tried. It didn't really happen properly. She didn't just disappear immediately, you know? She was just like, yeah, you know, I still want to see you, you know? So I don't think women are quite as... Guys have this idea that it's this sort of ruthless kind of, right, game over. You know, you have a bad night and it's go, game over, get out. It's not necessarily like that if she's into you, is it?
But there's also a big thing that I actually want to share. That's a great opportunity for me to share it. You're allowed as a man to filter the right woman for you. If this woman is putting you in the friend zone because you didn't get hard, you just dodged a bullet, and that's great. She's not the right woman for you.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Because a great woman to be with would be understanding of these kind of things. It's like, imagine that you're with a woman who is dry, or maybe like she's not as good as you thought in the bedroom, and you don't talk to her anymore. She's gonna feel like shit as well. So be human, be a fucking gentleman, but also know that there is, excuse my French, there is some bitches out there who will judge you. And if she judge you, that doesn't mean anything about you. That just means that she's a bitch.
Absolutely. There's a quick one here. Tuss, do you still make videos on cold approach? Why didn't you look at his channel, man? That's all he does. That is
do your research
in the channel.
That's how I've wasted my life for the last 10 years. Well, that and cocaine, but the cocaine stops. I'm even more hardcore in the approaching now. Yeah, we're still doing that stuff.
Yeah. So Heyman something says, my buddy has a few thousand girls' numbers, but never calls them. Maybe this is the issue. So he's talking about the issue of maybe he's sexually, worried. I mean, to be fair, if you've got several thousand girls' number on your phone, I'm betting that quite a few of those are dead by now anyway. But the point still stands, doesn't it? That maybe it is the fact that he is afraid because he's got some concerns about his performance, so he doesn't want to contact these girls.
And so what's interesting could be that maybe he's feeling either sexual shame or is that he has sexual blocks in the bedroom. And so the hit, like the dopamine rush and the pleasure that he should be getting from sex, because he's not getting it from sex, he gets it from approaching and getting the number. That was me. That I was addicted to get number and to seduce women and to have as many numbers as possible, because I was feeling I'm good enough, because I didn't feel good enough in the bedroom. And that's also that's an external validation. Oh, look at me, I have all these numbers, when actually what you want is to have good connection and good sex.
Yeah. And then he says, this is quite an interesting point. AI says that all male energy is sexual energy. Everything we do is powered by sexual energy. Wasting it to port, don't know what that means, will demotivate you in all aspects of life.
He means ejaculating.
So this is the kind of the life force type thing. I mean, do you think that all male energy is sexual energy? I'm not sure if that's verifiable.
Yeah, not maybe verifiable, but I would say that a lot of men are wasting this powerful energy. And look, like so many men could, if they stop to watch porn and they stopped ejaculating every day or twice a day, they would be able to be much more disciplined and much more motivated to create a business, to play sports, to create a real social connection. I mean, creativity. Us men, we love building, we love to solve problems. That's what makes us feel good. But when you deplete yourself from all the sexual energy and ejaculation, be it every day or even multiple times a day, you have no motivation whatsoever.
Yeah. No, I do agree. And then his soldier says kindly, these are in need of a dire Luxmaxer assessment. And then he says he's got the hammer here and a pill, and I think that what's that? Is that a scalpel or an injection?
A syringe.
Well, the clavicular code, is it?
You'll be glad to know I do have another Botox session
course coming up.
Next week. I need to, because I'm shortly I'm going to actually be leaving my lair, because I never actually leave this building. I'm actually going to be coming out into the daylight again, and I'm going to have to. So I'm definitely getting some corrective procedures done for sure.
Regarding this last comment, I just wanted to say something.
He doesn't say he was just lucky about, so fair enough.
A lot of men nowadays, especially because of porn, they are worried about their dick size. And I can tell you, so those size matter. Yes, it does, but not as much as you think. And not all women in real life are size queens like in porn. And I can tell you, I've talked with many women as well, and I will always remember that. I remember she told me one of her best nights, like sex night, was with a guy with a micro penis. Because
no way.
Listen to me, because he made her feel stuff that no man with a normal cock size or a bigger cock size made her feel. Okay, so of course, it's important for a lot of women. Of course, it's more pleasurable for a lot of women. But if you have the correct attitude and if you develop your sexual skills in the bedroom, you can be an amazing lover, no matter the cock size. And actually, what most women, they enjoy, it's the before, during, and after. And when you worry too much about your dick, it means that you're way too much focusing on penetration. And for most women, penetration is not sex. It's the whole aspect around sex.
Well, the women I'm with certainly enjoy the after the most, when it's all finished.
When you smoke your French cigarettes.
Yeah. But I was going to make a point then. I was going to maybe this will be the new Luxmaxing trend then, to actually get penis reductions. This is, maybe these guys are missing a trick. You need to get a micro penis to really succeed in 2020.
So that really push you to develop your other sexual skills.
All right, this one, Dirty Den again. Sterling Cooper's products, yes or no?
Some yes, some no. I mean, with Tusk, we kind of had a look at it.
The sexual dominance escalation one is actually quite good as a kind of a walkthrough. It's slightly odd though, because he's watching himself commenting on him with women.
Ego trip.
Look at how I'm inserting the cocktail ads. Yeah,
it's very meta. Yeah, it's got some good ideas, and the premium
I like some
idea
of Sterling trainings, especially the ones when he's like talking about how to last longer in bed, is really like making it like it's a workout, and it's really like you have the mind and you have the physical, and so you can have exercises to help you to fix that. So like everything, even with me, I always say to my clients, keep the good, leave the bad. If there is some tools that I share with you that are not working with you, fine, find the tools that are working for you.
Yeah. Okay. So this is interesting. Guys need a buddy program after boot camp to continue the motivation of going out and socializing. Well, yeah, we're fully aware of that, and that's why me and Tuscan Bonaparte is sometimes involved as well. It's often involved actually with our clients. We offer ongoing training support, so it's not just saying, right, come on this boot camp, lads, it's going to be great, and then sayonara. We encourage clients, and we will work with clients, and sometimes even for there's one client we've worked with. It's coming up on 2 years now. Other people 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. We'll work with you after the boot camp. And ideally, you would come on multiple events anyway, because it get you out into the field. But it is super important to keep the guys focused, isn't it? When they're back at home.
And to add to that, we actually give them wings in their home cities. So unless you're living in like literally a village in the middle of Mongolia, there's going to be guys you can go out with that's either living in the place you live or nearby. And these are guys who have got in touch previously, had coaching. So again, this smacks of the guy, it's great you're identifying these things, but why don't you just take some action? Clearly, just send us a message, come out to a boot camp. It's what you need to do, right? You're a long-term commenter, and I'm assuming not actually making stuff happen action-wise.
One thing that I want to add is, I don't know if you've seen this Black Mirror episode with John Hamm when he is actually a dating coach. A lot of men, they think, oh, it's just the bootcamp or it's just the approach. What if it works? What if you just focus on approaching and you go and you actually seduce a woman and you take her home? You don't know to do anything in the bedroom. That's where the real anxiety and the shame is going to kick in, because it's like, fuck, it worked. I don't know what to do next. And that's what happened. No spoilers, but that's what happened in the Black Mirror episode. But that's something also we always encourage men, not just to work on the bootcamp is amazing, but also to work on the other skills around, to be able to, when game day come and you are in the bedroom, you're ready and you're prepared to enjoy.
Yeah. They go hand in hand.
What we will try and do, what we do with clients is that we will look at them holistically. So it's not just, okay, here's some lines, right, go and approach, and we'll stand there having a fag. It's like, okay, so what are the issues that this guy faces? And then we've got a variety of trainers we work with, Bonaparte foremost among them, where it's like, okay, so you need work on the conversational skills, which is kind of our remit, but also there's sexual shame there. So then, okay, how about working with Bonaparte in conjunction with us to fix those bits as well? And that holistic approach tends to work really well. I mean, ultimately, I think what we've all discovered is that this is a long-term thing. It's not just, oh, right, come out for a weekend and then you're sorted. That's it. You've done it. Ideally, really, a lot, and it's going to depend from person to person how much work they need to do. But yeah, I mean, we don't just, we're not a pump and dump type organization, are we?
So OnlyFans. So also one thing is that if you invest, we've seen that with many clients, when you're ready to invest, it depends on most men, of course, but between 6 months to a year or two of training and really working on yourself, then you're pretty much sorted for the rest of your life. Like most of the men I work with nowadays, they're really successful in the external world. They have a good career, good financial situation, a good group of friends. But then when it comes to the bedroom, they're not satisfied. They feel like a failure. And so what I often hear is, this is the missing piece of the puzzle. Being good with women, with approaching women, seducing women, and being good in the bedroom. Because when you think about it, when you have that, when you are good with women, when you know how to approach women, when you have good confidence with women, and you're great in the bedroom, as a man, you feel masculine, you feel whole, you feel good enough.
Yes.
It's so important, isn't it? Because if you don't have these things handled, what the fuck are you going to do? Like, one of the most important decisions is who you spend your time with in a dating context, or potentially a wife, potentially you have a family. And if you just, it's a learned skill. It's within your hands to master all of this stuff. And it's not actually that much effort. It's just conscious awareness and then working with people like us who can accelerate the process tenfold. That's it. And then it's guys in way harder positions than anyone watching this have done this with us. So
one of the biggest critique that we get is that, oh, you're just helping men to get laid and to shag women. Not at all. Actually, a lot of our successful clients now, they are in successful and healthy relationships because they've done the work and they create a family because they are good in the bedroom and they are confident. Because I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to build and to have a healthy relationship and a healthy family if you're always ashamed, if you're always anxious, and when you always feel crap about yourself, especially in the 100%. Bedroom.
Very true. What is the most challenging country to approach women in Europe? I mean, off the top of my head, I'd say Germany's pretty tricky.
Yeah, or any Lithuania and Latvia are pretty overrated. They've got some hot women, but they're not friendly, and there's no kind of foreign factor there. They're quite distrustful of foreigners, actually.
But it's always like, look, we go back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, keep a positive mind. It's not which one is the most challenging. You can go in the
he's
most
really
challenging
looking for the
country,
problems there, isn't he?
And because you can adapt, you're gonna thrive. I'm pretty sure that there is some men who are thriving in Germany because they know to adapt. Also, so many men today that it's just a one size fits all approach. No, like, be fucking authentic. Develop your own toolbox. And then you're going to learn how to adapt. Not one woman is the same, especially in the bedroom. The way you're going to sexually escalate during a date is going to be, I always give this example, it's going to be very different if you are with a Colombian woman with big titties and a big cleavage compared to a very young and shy German girl. Both of them, they want to have sex, but in a different way. And they want you to take the initiative to talk about sex, but just in a different way.
Yeah. On the not succeeding in Europe point, obviously, if you run the numbers, some are going to bite. I mean, again, we're talking millions of people here, man. I mean, but the absolute hotties, for example, in London, they're only in high-end venues. So it's
another generalization. It's another clever escape. It's just nonsense. Nonsense.
He was talking in a previous comment. He was talking about Mayfair. He was saying basically all the hotties are in Mayfair bars. What's the close rate? And it's like, well, for a start, this is just not true. Because you could go to East Ham and walk into a Greg's and there could be an absolute smoke show working behind the counter. So for a start, it's not true. And secondly, even if you're talking about going to a high-end area like Mayfair, there's a whole mixed bag of people there as well, and, there are very attractive girls from outside London who are going to be very receptive. There's so many variables in this. But fundamentally, a big city like London, you can walk around almost any area and you'll probably see an attractive girl. So,
okay. And one thing that I want to say, I just want to call out so many men, they say, oh, all the hotties, they are in clubs. If they are hotties, probably they're training. So guess where they are? Like gyms, yoga classes, Pilates. I mean, it's not like they only live in the basement and then they go out to Mayfair or to high-end clubs,
Yeah, if you want to go to three places where I recommend where you're always going to find hot women is high-end shopping malls, either hired working in the store because they want beautiful women selling the products, or actually in the high-end stores because there's just always hot girls, right, perusing window shopping for the Louis Vuitton stuff, or coffee shops, massively underrated. So many girls with laptops doing nothing, bored. And gyms. I'm a massive advocate of approaching in gyms. I think there's so many hot girls there. No one approaches. No one does it calibrated. These are gold mines. And these are, everyone has to go there. It's not like the women have a gym and a shopping mall within the Mayfair nightclub they just stay in. It's like, come on. Again, it smacks me, unfortunately, of a guy who doesn't actually go out and take action. Because if you did, you'd realize what you're saying is nonsense.
It's all sort of generalized stuff that sort of sounds right, but it's not really reality. By the way, I also I don't go to clubs in London much now, but I did go to a Mayfair nightclub last year for some reason. And I have to say, it was pretty fucking awful. It was not the most probably high end of places, but it was in Mayfair. It was a nightclub. And the people in there, to be honest, the women in there, I wouldn't say they were these top tier princesses who were untouchable by any means. If anything, it looked like Wetherspoons on a Thursday night.
Jesus. So how times have changed.
Yeah, so
threatening me with a good time.
It wasn't Annabelle though, so I don't know. What can I say?
There's one question that I want to address: optimal body fat to be a top tier shagger. That's a good point we didn't cover, but lifestyle is important. And really taking care of yourself, working out, having a good cardio, those are usually useful skills to have and traits to have to be good in the bedroom. Because if you're out of shape, if you smoke, if you drink and you're a couch potato and you start to have sex and you're out of breath within 2 minutes and you can't get hard because of so much diabetes, you're not going to be able to enjoy. So I wouldn't say like you have to be sub 10% body fat, but actually training and being in a healthy condition will be even better for you. And also when you are in good shape and you're training, better higher testosterone, better blood flow, therefore better erection quality.
And also, this is why we're big on guys getting their bloods tested over the age of 30, because there's a huge amount of guys with hormone problems, and these can be fixed. And the only way of checking that is via your bloods, right?
Something that is coming up more and more also, sleep, man. Sleep apnea is the biggest killer of your erection. So fix your fucking sleep. Stop to watch to goon on Instagram until 3 a.m. being bombarded with blue light. Get rid of the screen, fix your sleep, and you will see. If you have erectile dysfunction, a lot of clients that I help having stronger erections naturally, it's with good sleep.
Yeah, sleep is super important. Any final parish notices, Mr. Francis?
There was quite a good one. This one's quite funny. We don't need to address this seriously, but
there is a new EU directive coming that no one can get laid with a woman who isn't at least 20 years older than them. Macron pushed hard for it. That's hilarious. and also, Mr. Bonaparte likes his older ladies.
So I haven't seen tough content for time. First guy I saw who made me realize it's not weird to do it in London. Are you doing cold approaching videos in London on your new channel?
No, because again, if you followed it, you'd realize I'm not in London. I never am. So I'm in Latin America most of the time. So lots of videos there. I've got a question, Bonaparte. If you were good, what was a couple of very impactful books for you with masculinity and/or sex along this journey? Are you a fan of people like David Dada? Any other recommendations?
The Way of the Superior Man, David Dada. Nina Hartley, she's a very old porn star.
I've heard that name, but she's a porn star, isn't it?
Yeah, okay. And she has the best book in terms of sex guide. I think it's Sexual Manual or Sex Guide by Nina Hartley.
It's techniques. Is this techniques?
Yeah, really, she talks about techniques and what women want in the bedroom. A Billion Wicked Thoughts. I think it's really good to understand women's psychology. David Buss, Why Women Have Sex, is a huge one for me, because you understand what are the reasons why women have sex, and you realize that there's many reasons. So
there's something like 260 or something, isn't there?
Yeah, 260 reasons. Yeah.
Whereas men just need to think, "Oh, she's hot. Yeah, I want to fuck."
Yeah, that's it.
Job done.
Big ass. Let's go.
That's it.
This one might be quite good. What are some of the routines you guys use in the morning or the evening before you meet a girl and know stuff will happen? Are there some hacks to boost your performance?
That's a great question. There's an exercise that I love to share, and I would share with the guys listening to us. The sexy tank. I call that the sexy tank. It's doing 3 to 5 things in the morning that you would do before a first date. And the reason why, so wearing a nice shirt, wearing a nice perfume, listening to some sexy music, reggaeton music or whatever, something that makes you feel sexy, because when you feel sexy about yourself, you're gonna present this energy, you're gonna show this sexy energy to the world, and therefore it's gonna be more likely that you're gonna attract women. In term of performance, or to boost your performance, training. Huge fan of training before a first date, because you're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to feel good in your body. You're going to have all these feel good hormone running in your head. So a big proponent of that.
And also actually doing some approaches. We're both big advocate of just being a bit social before the date, before you meet the girl, because then you're warmed up.
And so even also something like having an abundance mindset. If you do a couple of approaches before to go on a date, you're not putting so much pressure on the sexual performance, because you're like, if it doesn't work with this one, I know that I can have other women to have sex with and to have fun with. So this massively reduce performance anxiety, and therefore you show up to the date and in the bedroom much more confident, and you're able to enjoy more.
Absolutely. And then maybe just a final thing here. He says, in my case, I realized that the difference between performing very well and objectively poorly is often down to how I feel on a given day. But supplements and quick boosts can help somewhat. Are there any supplements?
I use Cialis, but I don't know. Maybe there's mixed opinions on that. I can get a hard on. I don't rely on it, but for me, it just makes me way hornier. So I'll pop, if I know I've got a date lined up, I'll pop 5 or 10 milligrams, and that, for me, it's a godsend. But again, not to be relied on, I don't think necessarily.
I mean, for me, it's if you get 90% of it naturally. It's really what you do in your lifestyle and how you show up with your mind. Then some supplements can help. But if you struggle with, and look, we've seen that many times, especially great point with young men nowadays. Much more young men nowadays are taking Viagra, 20 years old, 25 years old. Like, what the fuck? Viagra is supposed to be for 70 years old men because they can't get hard. And that's because in their mind, they're too stressed. Guess what? If you start to take Viagra at 20 years old regularly, you're going to get used to it. And when you stop to take Viagra, you're going to have even a less good quality erection. The more Viagra you take, the more your body gets used to it. So you're going to need more and more and more and more. So for me, it's 90% of it natural ways to go for it.
It's all in the mind, isn't it? Really, as long as your hormone levels are on point, it's in the mind. And it's a bit like TRT. It's like there's no point taking TRT unless you're sleeping, hitting the gym hard, eating properly. Then it gives you the extra 10 to 15%. But you've got to get the fundamentals in place.
And take TRT and have a bad mindset and see what happens. You're gonna go down a really bad spiral. So it's also important, like, you can take all the supplements you want, but if you have a fixed mindset and really bad attitude and a lot of self-limiting beliefs, it's never going to be a good thing for you. Just a quick one. There was a question on Brazilian nuts. The response is yes.
Oh, yeah.
What? Brazilian nuts? Brazil nuts. No, not
Brazilian nuts.
Brazilian.
Oh, yeah, this one. Yeah.
2 or 3. Yeah, 2 or 3 Brazilian nuts. Brazilian nuts a day can actually be good for you.
A mouthful of Brazilian nuts is, it's a good way to start the day. What about, thanks, lads. Thanks on high-end shopping areas. What I was trying to say, and these girls in the West have high options. I've run numbers, but rejection rate high. How many approaches to succeed? Well, the number that we always have is 30 approaches on average, depending on where, if you're in an easier area, it's going to be less. If you're in a harder area, it's going to be more. But, and I mean, you don't say here how many approaches you're doing a week or a month, but you've got to be doing at minimum 20 a week, haven't you, really, to be in the game?
Get feedback on what you're doing. That's the big thing.
If the sex coach can chime in, like, do 20 approaches with no energy and with a bad attitude, and do 20 approaches with a sexy and confident mindset, and it's going to be completely different. So it's not just the numbers, it's the attitude you show up and the way you present yourself.
That's true as well. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys.
Awesome. It's been very informative. So if guys would like to have a chat with Bonaparte, do you offer free consultations at the moment on the phone, or is it you just text them?
Free consultation, and really, like, we take the time to go over what your current situation is, what are your biggest problems, the sexual blocks that you face, and it's always bespoke. Also, always it's private. I don't share any information. It's really what I always have from the people I talk to, clients or not even clients, but the men I talk to, this is the time where they felt no judgment and they felt understood and they could trust someone. And for me, like, this is the big thing in my work. It's trust. Like, when you're able to trust someone, you can open up to what you're facing. And this is the first step for you to have meaningful changes.
So send us an email, info@jamestoss.com or troy@realtroyfrance.com. Include the title Bonaparte and include your WhatsApp number, and we'll put you in touch with the man himself. And we'll get you back on again soon. It's been awesome doing this again. It's been
it'd be great.
I miss these from the edge. They're very informative. They remind me of the basic stuff as well. It's very easy to forget, right?
And one thing that I want to share, one last thing I want to share is if you think that your problem is too much or your emotions are too much or your shame is too much, it's not. Okay. I'm a sex coach. I faced many challenges myself. I've been talking to a lot, like 1,000+ men, and I've seen it all. So don't worry, you're not going to shock me. And I know that you can get better.
Absolutely.
Awesome stuff.
Great stuff, guys. Okay. We'll close now, but we'll be back again very soon.
Thank you very much, everyone. It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye.